On August 30th, back in 2023, I started the Cloud Gambit podcast. And little did I know, almost actually like right around a year later exactly, I would get a great co-host, Eyvonne Sharp. And then about a year after that, we have some even more fun news to discuss. But before we get there, how are you doing, Eyvonne?
I'm doing great today. It is, we're in the middle of a summer heat wave here in middle America in Kentucky, and it is toasty, toasty here, and we are trying to stay cool.
It is. It is extremely toasty. So I'm not in Kentucky. I'm farther east right now. And yesterday, I spent 9 hours at an amusement park with my children out in a 105-degree heat index day and got plenty of sun, plenty of steps, and it was hot. I don't think I've ever sweated so much in my life. It was pretty brutal, but we had a good time. So good time. Anyhow, so big news, really exciting news. So, like I said, 2023 August, we started the podcast. 2024 August timeframe, I think it was around that time. You were nice enough to come on and help out and lend your voice. And now, July 2025, we are getting adopted by the Packet Pushers. Exciting news.
Yeah, cue the crowd cheer and the fan noise and the clapping and all that. Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've followed Packet Pushers probably longer than any other technical media source. I think for me, my interest in the network and the platform started probably 2012, 2013. I was just cutting my teeth as a network engineer, and my first big enterprise gig was, config and shipping hardware and trying to figure out what enterprise networking was all about. And so it feels very full circle now to be a part of the Packet Pushers Network. So we're super excited.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's the Packet Pushers is the first podcast I remember ever listening to. Actually, they've been a mainstay since like I can't even remember, like 2010-ish or sometime around there. I think it was originally started by Greg Farrow and Ethan Banks in the early days. They had, heavy networking, and now they have a full family of shows. So yeah, adding different things for the new adjacent technologies and really, keeping up with, mainstream, like what is important. So yeah, super excited to be on. And I guess just for this brief episode, this isn't going to be a full episode, but just a little bit about the podcast and a little bit about us. So one question I get quite a bit is like, what's with the name? Like, what does that even mean? And first of all, as many of you probably know, like most of the names out there are already taken up. So you have to be a little creative these days to find something. But the name is really a play on the Queen's Gambit in chess, which is basically a move that sees the white queen's pawn to d4. Black responds by moving their queen's pawn d5, with white then advancing c pawn to c4, which basically defines the gambit, which is to say, I'm going to offer the pawn in exchange for hopefully positional advantage later on in the game. So I've always thought about chess when it comes to tech strategy because I'm a big fan of chess, played it for a long time. And especially in, when I got to do these big moves to cloud when I was in enterprise. So, like the Queen's Gambit in chess, cloud computing represents like the sort of the strategic sacrifice of sorts, sometimes like with your on-premises control, like amongst other things. It's new. And well, it's not new anymore, but it, was, new. And there's still challenges with adoption with trust that have slowly started to wane over time. So for, hyperscale and innovation and all these things, like cloud has been just a dynamic force in the industry. So also like in chess, the Queen's Gambit opening essentially creates uh, complex positions that, they can reward deep thought and deep calculation. So similarly, like the Cloud Gambit's going to explore how cloud and like AI technologies create complex business landscapes that reward, a lot of that strategic foresight. And I guess other reasons, like I know I'm not anywhere near the realm of a chess grandmaster. I'm not even in the same ballpark, but these greats that have played the game for so long, they see patterns that are really invisible to a lot of novices at the end of the day. So, the Cloud Gambit as a podcast really tries to uncover some of those hidden patterns and connections in technology that separate uh, like industry leaders from followers, and also, requires balancing immediate sacrifice against long-term advantage, just as cloud adoption balances, some of those initial migration challenges and, perspective changes that are required against, transformative potential. So just, I guess, a brief about me. So I started, my name's William, by the way. I started my journey in tech in the early 2000s when ESXi from VMware was blowing up and everyone was trying to virtualize all their infrastructure. I've worked in enterprise tech for somewhere around 15 years. And then I spread my wings of adventure and decided to transition over to the startup space. Now, um, I guess in my other time that I have outside of the day job and the podcast, I also do LinkedIn learning courses, and I do host a blog that I need to post on more because I do love writing, and I love spending time with the family, ice hockey, tasty treats, and long walks on the beach, of course. What, what about you, Yvonne?
Yeah, as far as my career history, I studied computer science years ago and really started in my career at a mom and pop ISP doing web development and infrastructure and networking and all of those things back when we serviced 30 dial-up customers with a single T1 line. Um, you know, so grown a lot since then, spent some time at small VARs and integrators, and then made the move into enterprise IT. Spent, 8 or 9 years there, and then moved over to the vendor side at VMware and now at Google Cloud. So I lead a team of, customer engineers focused on infrastructure, for Google Cloud, and really love talking to folks about how to make that leap, why cloud technology matters. I think it matters more now that we've entered into the age of AI, and how to think about not just the technical aspects, but also the people and the processes and how things actually get done. And spoiler alert, if you listen to me at all, then you'll know that I believe most of the real problems are people and process, not as much technology. So we'll talk about that some too.
Yes, Yvonne, you're like a cloud philosopher in a sense. I love it. And for those that don't know, Yvonne was one of the podcast OGs as well in the Network Collective days. It's been a while,
It's
but
been a while. It's been a while, but yeah, I still am pleasantly surprised when I meet people who were first introduced to me from the Network Collective, and had a few early appearances back in the day on Packet Pushers and with Russ White in the Hedge. I still show up there sometimes, so I'm around. I always have an opinion.
yep, definitely. Usually a good one.
Yep.
So, yeah. Well, thanks everybody for listening. And, we're really, I can't even say how excited we are to be part of the Packet Pushers family of podcasts. And just to be able to talk and to lend our voice to a bigger audience. And we're really looking forward to, some of the exciting episodes we have planned. And if you want to follow us on the socials, you can find me at William-Collins on LinkedIn, and most everywhere else. My handle is macro engineered. What about you, Yvonne?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Eyvonne Sharp. It's spelled with an E, so it's pretty easy to find me there. And then on Twitter, currently known as X, at Sharp Network. Those are the two places that I frequent.
Do you ever think they'll rename it back to Twitter? Do they have a suggestion box? Have you put anything in that box?
I think the suggestion box is routed to DevNull.
And that's a great way to end. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.